So this is Clayton Tedeton. This is not Colonel Sanders. But do give him a warm morning welcome here. He's already given away $500 worth of stuff.
Glad to see you here this morning. Oh, you can't hear. Glad to see all of you here this morning.
Extension on that mic should fix up.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
I can hear it up here. But just, you know, it's always good to hear people with good news that's been established. God has given me the formulation to 7 products that is absolutely changing people's lives in agriculture and health all over the world. We have the green soap will clean anything from a brand new baby to cleaning up an oil spill and everything in between. Then we have a milky colored one. I thought I had one up here, but it's back on the table. That one is for people with dry skin. If you'll take and use that product for 30 days, stay away from bar soap, alcohol, petroleum products, everybody in your neighborhood will think you have slipped off and got a facelift. It's absolutely amazing what it'll do to the skin. Then if you've got plants, if you're a farmer, the green soap, you can take, like the little here says, 4 ounces of the soap, 4 ounces of the neutralizer, put in enough water to spray on an acre of ground. You'll get from a half to a double crop on anything that you grow. This is the information that we've got from hundreds of farmers scattered all over the world this year. In some cases it's good, in some cases it's not so good. The test they run in the Mission Valley in Texas last year on watermelons, they like to ship a lot of them. They grew twice as big, so it kind of threw a kink in their watermelon situation because they don't want one twice as big. So some things it could be a hindrance to people. But through the whole thing, cleaning, you'd never have to buy another jug of bug killer. The easiest way to kill any air-breathing critter is to drown them. Whenever you mix that soap and the neutralizer together, it creates a supernatural agent that is so thin, when you spray it on an air-breathing bug, it'll kill him instantly because water is one of the most dangerous things in the world. It'll kill you every time you get it in your lungs if you don't get it out. And that bug is the same way. So you never have any poisons around your house. And if I can get people to understand, and I think most of you understand, that there are several items that you must get out of your house before you live an excellent, healthy, exciting life. That's bar soap, toothpaste, underarm deodorant, hairspray, and clothes washing material. If you'll get those things out of your house, then be a good Samaritan, take a friend, a neighbor, and give them some of this. Be a blessing to people that's got problems out there. They'll thank you for the rest of their life whenever you go about doing good to your neighbors and your kinfolks. Then we have those 2 products to take care of the body and agriculture. Now they're using the next product in Saudi Arabia. The organization from Saudi Arabia, they were in the office about 3 months ago. They're using the clear stuff, the neutralizer, for cloning date palm trees and potatoes in Saudi Arabia. They were having about an 85% loss in the method they were trying to use. And one man that had been healed of skin cancer over there said, let's try the neutralizer in it. Now they have a 98% success rate in their cloning of those 2 plants. So another man in Texas here is dropping that soap down an abandoned gas well that's got too much salt water and oil in it. And he told me it took 2 minutes for that cylinder to drop 4,000 feet. And when it explodes in the bottom, not with a fiery explosion, but it just blows all apart, this stuff suds in salt water as good or better than it does in fresh water. He said it made so much suds, there's enough to hold the water and the oil down, and the gas comes up through the bubbles, and he orders the stuff by the 55-gallon drums. They're giving him these abandoned wells, and he's reaping profit out of them because God has given him the knowledge on what to do to get the gas out. So that product, you should not leave home without spraying that on you, the clear gel or the neutralizer. You can enjoy the sun, never have to worry about skin cancer. And I just want to provoke you to go out and find people that's got that hell in their life, skin cancer, and get them to try it. If they ever try it, every person, 100% of the people that I've found with skin cancer around the country, they're totally healed now. Are there a timer? I need 5 minutes I want to tell how a big organization tried to shut this down. You'll get a kick out of that, but tell me when I got about 5 minutes. But we go through that neutralizer. Energy. I've felt bad and I've felt good. Gooder is better. Nothing like feeling good. I'm 68 years old. I feel better than I've ever felt in my life. But 12 years ago, I just stressed out at times, and now that goes into my system. That is loaded. That bottle has got over 1 million elliptic energy units in it. I just had a man that fools around and plays around with radionics. He called me up about 2 weeks ago, and the first time he got a hold of it, he said he put it in his unit, and he had 9 with 30 zeros behind it. He said he had never seen anything like it. And he's giving it to people, just rubbing it on them. If you got a problem, inside, we've seen breast cancer, ovarian cancer, prostate cancer, colon cancer. If you've got a problem, I just challenge you to take the gel and the neutralizer, get you a towel, a bath cloth, wet it in the neutralizer, glob you some gel on whatever area, whether it's in the middle of you or what, put it on, wrap some saran wrap around you, and we've had all of these diseases to leave the body in less than 30 days. From hours to about 2 weeks is what we've heard, and we have testimonies and telephone reports from all of these people. I don't understand it. All I can tell you, God has always done these things. From the beginning that we read about, their food was poisoned. The man of God said, bring me some meal. He put meal in it. Their water was poisoned. He said, bring me some salt. Another man had sickness. He said, go dip in the river 7 times. So to you that understand and have your brain, this is a common thing for God to do. Nothing unusual. It's just a common thing because our food is poisoned, our water is poisoned, everything around us. So I wouldn't go a day without spraying that neutralizer. If you eat oatmeal, spray you some neutralizer on it. If you eat an egg, spray you some neutralizer on it. I don't care what you eat. If you're cooking something, pour you some in it. And you'll see your life take on a whole nother appearance. You won't have to tell anybody. They'll say, what are you doing? You look so good. You're full of energy. If you've got pain in your body, and I know there's many other things here, if you'll just check these out and get the ones that are made for you, you can live a healthy life and go forth. Not only being healthy, you can get involved in all of these, and I'm sure all of these other men and women, you can get involved in their projects. You can live healthier. You can live wealthier. I give more away now than I ever made whenever I was running loose in the world. Didn't know who I was. And I was a loose runner for 50 years. And I've been in captivity by Jesus Christ. I don't understand it, but I got to a point I said I need a helper. I need somebody to lead me and guide me. So the Holy Ghost come in and done that. I don't make any plans where I go. I just go. Because that rule book says I'll give you what you need to say and do when you get there. This is happening to me, so I want to, like I said, provoke you to go out and get some people that's got no hope. Okay, we have the white lotion. And I tell people with bottom problems and rashes and jock itch, athlete's foot, knots, lumps, bumps, sores, put some on it. What have you got to lose? If you can't afford it, I'll give it to you. We have never sold a bottle of this to critically sick people. We have given it to them. And by doing that, God has blessed our families with this so much until we just want to explode out here and share this with you to where you can go out and be a worker of good deeds and make money and stay excited. I have never had a dull day in the last 18 years. There's always been good. There's been deaths, but we must do that. Some go earlier than others. But it's joyful to be able to know who you are, and you will go out and make a difference. Now, the white lotion, if you've got dry skin, you ladies use it for a makeup base. All people that has got dry scalps, dry hair, put you 2 or 3 drops of that in there. That bottle will do you 2 or 3 months if you learn how to use it. The soap is the only supernaturally concentrated material. Farmers love it. Like the neutralizer, we dehydrate it. We've got a package on the table. A man up in Wisconsin said, Clayton, it is so good to have 55 gallons of stuff in the glove compartment of your car. No forklifts, just makes it easy. He goes out to his tractor, got a 600-gallon tank on it, takes 1 teaspoonful, puts it in that tank, and the tractor driver looks at him like he's crazy and says, is that it? He goes back out and he's got a double crop. You eat potatoes out of Wisconsin this year from Empire Farms. They're having neutralizer sprayed on them right now in a humidifier. If you got grapes, you got potatoes, you got fruit, spray the neutralizer on them when you get through eating the bunch, put them up. Some of them will lay there for months. Put your grapes in the refrigerator and they'll stay there for 2 or 3 months, just as fresh as they was when you put them in there. And some ladies tell me they even taste fresher. So there's so many good things that this will do if you have needs for anything. And if you're the healthiest thing in the world, why wouldn't you want to use a product that's never had new and improved on it? You'll never read new and improved because it was perfect when God wrote the formulation on my bedroom wall. Come this July, it'll be 19 years. My whole profession got changed. So this is all I do now is go about doing good, helping other people to make money and to live a healthy life and all. So that product will cause your skin to take on another glow. The laundry ball here, about 2 years ago, God woke me up one night, gave me the invention to that. These balls are made for us in China. It's a sad thing when you can't get an air-filled ball made in the United States. But this ball has got 209 little spikes on it. It's not just a laundry ball. It washes clothes without any washing powder. Of course, we recommend the green soap to put on stains. There's about 1% of the stains. The only thing will remove it is a pair of scissors. But 99% of the time, this will take it all out. You'll have beautiful clothes, no chemicals in them. You can also take this, lay it on the floor, pull your shoes off, roll it under the arches of your feet. You'll come alive when you do that. A man called me from Kansas night before last and said he had been suffering with back arthritis, could hardly get around. He heard about this, got the gel, got his wife. He said, I'm going to prove this either right or wrong. He's a farmer up there. And so he got his wife to put gel up and down his back, roll that ball over, and he said, I can't believe it. No pain. His wife said he acts like he's 30 years old now. Getting around, you men and women, couples, give each other a massage with this rolling around over your skin. I've heard some beautiful stories from men and women using this to massage each other. So it's not just a laundry ball. And I know that if you just pitch this in a bucket of creek water, it thins the water, it changes the polarity of the water. This, as far as I know, is the only ball like this that contains electric energy with a negative electrical charge. All of this material is run through a 440 volt unit, and when this hits water, it just does something to it. I've had people tell me that this year they're going to throw this in their tractor tank. That's all they're using. It's just the ball. If you take care of this, it'll probably last you 20 years. You can wash from 1 to 100 loads of clothes a day. We have some motels experimenting with this, and some other fast food places that wash a lot of greasy things. Of course, you need to put soap in it if you got a lot of greasy stuff. But this is going to do some changing. We guarantee it for 3 years, the ball. The material on the inside will be there forever, because farming with it, a farmer run tests on this last year. He said, Clayton, on the radionic machine, it had 1 million energy units. Watered the plants, the water run off in ditches after they gathered the plants. He went out and got water out of the ditch. It still had 1 million energy units in it. And people say, how does it work? And all I can say, it's a spiritual thing. No time in history has man ever needed a miracle. No time. Crop, bugs. And do you know if you can get you a good healthy plant, a bug won't bother it? If the sugar content or brick content is up on it past, I think, 23, 24%, he bites into it. If he's starving to death, the sugar converts into alcohol, and he just turns out to be a drunk. Lays around, a bird eats him, ants eat him, and you have no problem. Another thing with the soap and the neutralizer, let's say you live in a bug-infested area. Why is a bug in your house? Why is he in your restaurant? He's hungry. A bug doesn't walk around and read up there, Big Mac 99, I'll have 2 of them. If he's off out there in 40 acres and there's a Big Mac laying on the floor, he smells it. You spray around your building, mop, clean, wipe with this. A bug will not come in your building if he does not smell food. He's got to smell it before he can find it. So through the whole thing, I think by next year, you're going to have reports on this to where you can put this in a bucket of water, water your flowers, put it on your farm, and it'll just last you for a long time. Now, I'm being blamed for something whenever we get these. We just got 5,000 of them in. They had Chinese air in them. And I've been blamed for the weather letting the Chinese air out in North Louisiana. So if you hear this report, I'm guilty of it, because that's what I'm doing in North Louisiana. 5 minutes. A few years ago, when all this healing started and the agriculture thing, the first thing jumped on me was Big Brother. Called me up and said, we're going to lock you up. I said, glory to God, when? Because in 1989, God got me in a place to where I fear no man, no organization. So a year before that, God healed 3 attorneys, knowing I was going to need some legal help. So I told the official, I said, I'll let you talk to my attorney. He said, you do that. The attorney called him, and the first thing he said, Steve, you know what that man's doing. Let's shut him down. He said, do I know what he's doing? Let me tell you my story. He was dying with Ryder's syndrome, a seafood poisoning. There's no cure for it. So God put us together. He healed him. So he said, if you ever need an attorney, I'm your man. Won't cost you a penny. Well, a year went by, and I finally needed him. 2 more people, attorneys, got healed from having leg operations, and they told me the same thing. So Steve got a book, their official book, and found out where it says soaps are excluded from your jurisdiction. So there's 3 things that no organization controls in this world. That's your testimony, God, and soap. So they told them to back off. They didn't regulate this. If people wanted to drink soap and be healed, if people wanted to put soap on tomatoes and grow them 20 foot tall, who was they to tell us that we couldn't? So about a month later, a white van come to the office, drove up, and this young man got out. And I'd just been to a flea market someplace, and I was looking at badges and swords and everything. He come out, flipped his badge on me, and introduced himself. And I looked at it, and I said, I saw one like that at the flea market the other day. And of course, he took a few minutes telling me that his was official and all. He didn't buy it at Bonnie and Clyde Flea Market. So he come in and said, we need to know where you get your water, how you structure the water, your raw materials. He listed everything, and I said, well, sir, God hadn't told me to tell you. So he said, whatever you tell us will be held confidential. And just weeks before that, somebody had revealed something to some government organization, and within 2 months, China knew about it. So he called his supervisor. She talked to me for 30 minutes, and I said, lady, God has not told me to tell anybody. So the young man sitting over on the couch at the office, I said, mister, if you want to talk anymore, make an appointment and we'll talk. But I've got some things to do. And I said, I have got to get up and obey my boss. He said, I thought you worked for yourself. I said, oh, no, man, I work for God. He sent me out to heal the sick, raise the dead, and cast devils out of people. I said, you don't look dead. You don't look too sick. Do you have problems with that other? He jumped up off the couch like to rip the screen door off, run out, got in the van, and dug out a 3-inch track in the driveway. Now that's my experience with Big Brother. So we have some products that's changing the world. God has anointed it. He told me that he was going to take me to some high places. A month after that, I got a letter from the Chemical Warfare Department of the United States. I really got excited about that. So I called them. They had a number. The first thing I said, I want to make some money off the government. Y'all got me regulated making chemical warfare materials. He said, man, slow down. Where are you calling from? I said, West Monroe, Louisiana. He said, man, I'm from Baton Rouge. What's going on in the homeland? Told him the whole story, and he said, man, no wonder they sent your name up here. He said, I'm going to send you a report, a form, fill it out, then I'm going to put a personal letter in your file stating, leave this man alone. Finally, something good is coming out of Louisiana. So my minute's up. I've enjoyed it. And get one of these balls. We're introducing them for $40 a piece. They retail for $52. This will be an exciting thing. If you're driving, pitch it up in the car. Just keep your eyes on the road if I'm on the road, because I don't want to run over. But this is interesting. The whole thing here is some interesting products. So take advantage of it.
All right, did you catch all of that and get the idea here? Thank Kent Clayton for bringing those products to us. All you got to do is give it away. Now, we're going to shift gears a little bit. We got some guys here who it's been very difficult for them to get up this morning. You see, there's about a 17-hour difference in time here as to what these fellas experience. But Terry Skrinjan and are the other two going to be with you? Well, I thought you were going to bring them, but anyway, you've heard about the Men in Black. We have them here today. And here's Terry, the leader, and the other two are also back here. Terry Skrinjan from down under in Australia has something also that I think has proved to be of enough import that you should hear more about it. And Terry and Lynn and Steve may be with him. But anyway, try to listen close here, because Terry is either 17 hours behind us or ahead of us, one or the other. Welcome Terry here now to tell us about what they've got with us. Close to the mic.
Close to the mic. Well, good morning, everybody. Sorry to get you up this early in the morning. Well, I'm sorry that I'm up this early in the morning. Okay. Well, basically, to give you a little bit of a rundown on who we are and, well, what we do, we've got a small little research and development company in Australia called...
Can you hear him all right back there? Closer to the mic, please, Terry.
How's that?
Yeah.
Too many Coronas last night. Okay, basically, to give you a little bit of a rundown on exactly who and what we do, or who we are and what we do, we run a small little research and development company in Australia called Q-Tech Laboratories. Effectively, we research anything that is strange and unusual. Well, okay, I've got a bit of a song going on in the background here. Basically, what we do is we base most of our research and technology, well, basis, on a totally new type of science called Q-mechanics. It's a unified field theory that is a little bit beyond most. What we've done is we've taken the concepts of unified field theories and everything else and thrown it all out the window and started from scratch. Now, in doing so, we've been able to develop a science which is based very much on just layman terms. No more big scientific words and wow things, just straight out normal speech. And so far, we've had a pretty good understanding from most of the people that have actually read the book and began to understand the technology. And, well, excuse me, I'm very nervous up here. I hate being up on stage. Well, this technology is, well, it basically comes from me and my experiences with certain fields and information that I've come across throughout my life. I'm only young, but I've had a pretty full life so far. I started off at the age of about 16, getting caught for computer hacking into a company called American Laser Systems Corporation, into their top secret military files, and finding out what the next ground infantry weapon was going to be. That was supposed to be released in about 1991 or 92. And I got caught for this, thanks to a lovely little stunt by one of my friends. He decided to use my computer to play a few games, accessed one of my files, ran the program, the little program I had, and the modem was plugged in and off it dialed. Stayed online long enough to get caught by the security sweep, and I had the federal agents on my doorstep within 10 minutes. It was the first time I found out that we actually had a federal office in our town. Now, our town consists of about 100,000 people, and yet we've got a federal office which has probably close to 30 or 40 agents in it, which scared me a little. Anyway, moving right along. that went all good and fine. I was basically slapped on the wrist and told not to do it again and banned from using a computer or any data access line for a period of about 5 years. As soon as that was over, I bought a computer and got back online and didn't get into any trouble. Not to say I didn't do any trouble, I just didn't get into any trouble. Well, anyway, shortly after that happened, I went down to Sydney and got a job as a computer technician, where I started to learn lots and lots of things. And during that time, I began, well, doing a little bit of a side business, writing viruses. And everyone sort of panics whenever someone says that. But believe me, it's a well-paying job. I'll stand on the Fifth Amendment on that one. So I got the attention of a few undesirables and began working on a civilian contract with the military, working on computer hardware, computer software, and with some basic technology. Well, it was fun stuff to play with anyway, things that no one had seen before. Now that moved on up towards more technology which definitely no one else had seen before. I actually got to lay my hands on about 6 different devices which were definitely off-world origin. Symbology, markings, construct, material basis, everything about them was completely alien. And I use that term very, very heavily. And my job was basically to decode these things, along with a handful of other people as well. The task took a grand total of about 3 weeks to unpuzzle it. It was very quick and very simple. I won't actually tell you what they were or what they did or what they're made of. Unfortunately, I'm still bound by security Blue I-1 clearance for the next 14 years. So I'm pretty well stuck on that. Anyway, playing in those sort of fields and having that sort of fun sort of gets you in a little bit of trouble, especially when you want to get out. So you're probably wondering why I'm actually standing up here talking to you after actually doing things like that. Well, how do you actually put this? They tried to make me do something I didn't want to do, and it didn't go down too well with me. So I dropped the mainframe for the South Pacific area for the intelligence community for a grand total of 3 days, and they couldn't bring it back up. Let's just say they really bugged me. Anyway, I got out of that and I got asked to do a few other contracts which I declined, and eventually one thing led to another, and during the course of all of this I was in contact with a gentleman by the name of John Thomas in New York State. Actually, he's in Rochester. And I was just basically letting him know all the different things that I've figured out and different inventions I'd come up with in my head and drawn out on paper and started to build and never got too far with. And, well, letting him know what was going on. Now, this went on for a period of about 3 to 4 years until finally he said, well, I'm coming out to Australia. I said, great, excellent, we'll have to get together. Now, this is where everything started. I ran into Stephen Walker over there, the guy with the blonde hair, Q-tip, as he's so affectionately called lately. Well, anyway, I ran into him, and we spent an entire week together. John Thomas, myself, Steve, and Professor John Searle. Now, mostly it was Steve and John Thomas and myself spending ungodly hours till the wee hours of the morning, sitting there just crunching everything. I mean, we were going through every possible conceivable bit of technology and information I could shovel into them in such a brief short amount of time. Now, I'm not sure if they actually suffered overload at the end of the day, but a couple of months later, after that week, Steve rang me up and he says, well, I want to learn more. Tell me more. So he flew me over to Perth, and where he was living, which is right across the country from where I am. And I spent a week with him, crunching information again. Just unloading as much as I possibly could, trying to get him to understand the concepts behind off-world technologies, behind this theory of one. No longer duality. I mean, throw duality out the window. Once you get right to the scope of things, everything is just a single one thing. That's all it is one. Call it anything you wish. I mean, you can even call it divinity if you really want. I mean, I heard that terminology used last night while having a conversation with another gentleman. Well, we crunched for a while, and then I went home. Went back to Toowoomba, where I live, and he didn't get enough. So he bought me a modem. He said, well, let's fax each other. This lasted a grand total of about 2 months before he really got the jack of it and decided enough of this. So he sold his house, sold his car, sold his boat, packed his family into a bus, as in he bought a bus, converted it to a mobile home, and drove clean across the country. And parked in my front lawn for about 6 weeks. Then finally he moved into his own place and everything like that, and we've been doing this ever since. Now, Steve and I wrote the book Q Mechanics probably nigh on 4 years ago. And I mean, it's very layman term type physics and science and whatever you want to label it. I mean, you can throw the labels out the window too. It's just what it is. Now, we wrote this book just to get the information out, because while I was teaching Steve, I'd been teaching him for about a year, and he says, we got to tell the people. And I said, no, we don't. He says, we got to tell the people. I said, no, we don't. Finally, after about 3 weeks, he convinced me, and I said, well, okay, let's sit down and you write the book. He says, no, I'm not. I said, okay, we'll both write the book. So he wrote most of it and I wrote some of it. But at the end of the day, we had it published, or self-published, and we started selling a few copies here and there, and people got more and more interested. Now, we thought, a gentleman that was at this lecture that he'd organised for Professor John Searle, where I'd actually first met him, I thought, well, what was that guy's name? And Steve says, oh, who, Lynn? Lynn Eykamp, who's pacing back and forward up the back there at the stand. He was at the lecture, and he was looking at funding some sort of project. And we thought, okay, this is cool, we'll do this. So we got in contact with Lynn. We basically rang him up out of the blue, and he says, well, come down. Okay. So we jumped in the car, and on the extremely shoestring budget we had, which was a couple of dollars in our pocket and a tank of fuel, we went down to see him. Now, I think that first visit we spent at least a week down there, and we just talked and talked and talked. Now, Lynn got us down another 2 times after that, and finally he says, well, okay, if you're so smart, prove it. Now, we'd been talking about everything, anything. I mean, there was just endless topics for conversation about technology, about new things, about everything. I mean, for a short, brief amount of time, I had access to just about every file you could possibly dream of in the intelligence community. And I learned how to speed read rather fast. So we talked, and finally he says, okay, enough of this. Prove to me what you're saying is real. And I said, well, how do you want me to prove it? He says, well, you tell me how. I said, well, I'll tell you what, ask me a question. Just ask me any question, and I'll answer it. And he says, well, okay. So he gives me a real, major curveball. I mean, it would have hit me fair in the side of the head without a problem. He says, okay, if you're so smart, make me a device that'll cure just about anything. So I pulled a cigarette out of the packet, walked out onto his front porch, sat down, smoked half of it, put it out, went inside, drew the schematics for this thing, and so we began to build it. Now, prior to that, he says, well, okay, let's just build something that works. So we built the first, what we call a junkyard dog, which is the predecessor to this little device here. Now, it looks very simple. And in fact, it is very simple in concept. So we built this junkyard dog, and it worked fantastically. I mean, incredible. We've got video footage of it that is unbelievable. I mean, this thing did some amazing things to water. It looked like some sort of spaceship that had just landed or crash landed in the backyard. But it worked. And it was made out of junk pieces out of his backyard junk pile. So over a period of a weekend, we got something working. That was all great and fine. So we started working on the next model of this, which was, Lynn complained that the actual designs were too small to work with, because he's got very big workshops down at his place. So he multiplied the size of it by 2.5. Now, this changed the whole perspective of the unit, and it didn't function how it was supposed to, but it still functioned quite fine in different fashions. So we moved on to the next model. Now, this little thing we call the beefy unit, or bioelectric field enhancement unit. Its main purpose, its entire function, is to activate the life energy in water, to enhance the life energy in water. That one little substance which science seems to keep missing every time they try and pull water apart. They miss the whole point of it. What they do is they get water, they pull it apart, and they say, well, it's hydrogen and it's oxygen. We'll stick a copper electrode and a zinc electrode in there and we'll get hydrogen and oxygen. But the problem is you stick any other electrodes into water and you get some other gas. And then once again, you stick different metals in, you get some other gas, and so on and so forth. Because it's a basic catalytic magnocatalytic reaction. It's very simplistic. It's just one of those things that occurs. Now, taking what I, learned and what I know and what I knew, putting it into motion, we ended up coming up with this, which is a complex magnetic array, you could say, which is a series of rings of differing metals that you apply a particular power source to, which is 24 volt DC, 3 amp, and you put it in your bathtub. Now this simply plonks into the bathtub, or bathtub, I better say it how you guys say it, otherwise you won't understand me. You put it into your bathtub and relax back, have a nice comfortable half-an-hour bath once every other day, and it recharges your system. It recharges your body. Now, it supplies your body with the same energy that your body uses to function, the same energy that your body actually draws out of food substances and out of water and out of any liquid or food or anything in order to supply its own self, to keep itself running. Some sort of electrical value. Now, I found out how to translate normal electricity into this bioelectricity, or this is what we call it, is bioelectricity. Had to give it a label somehow so people could understand what it was. The thing that makes us function. So in effect, what we have here is the first human battery charger, where for the first time, when you're feeling down, you're feeling just drained out, you can actually recharge yourself. Well, I've been given the little sign that's saying my time's up, so I'm going to have to leave it there. Now, we have a booth up at the back, just near the door. Please, come and have a look. We are running free baths for people who want to try this out, because, to be honest, proof's in the pudding. Give it a shot. Try it out, see what you think. I know it works, and probably 10,000 other people know it works. Give it a shot, try it out. See what you think. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry. Now, folks, be back in 10 minutes because you're going to hear something that you haven't heard before. Take yourself a break.